It's Ashley at the Silver Bay Public Library, and I am back once again for story time. Sorry if you missed us Friday. We had some technical difficulties, but we are back again here Monday morning, fresh and ready to go. So I have some great stories for you guys today. And we're going to start off with a cute little story called Daydreamers, A Journey of Imagination by Emily Winfield Martin. There's a fun dragon on the front that I thought you guys would enjoy. So we're going to dive right in. They say there are no dragons left, and that's the way it seems. To find them, you must visit the land of waking dreams. You don't need to search for secret doors, or magic words to speak. Your imaginings will carry you anywhere you seek. And the ordinary world will never guess where you have gone to chase your wandering heart into the place beyond. Or the beyond may come to you, dressed up in a disguise. Is it the wind that moves the clouds, or a dragon as he flies? A tiny seaside kingdom might grow beneath your gaze, as creatures ancient as the sea rise on enchanted waves. In a place of hushed and quiet things, you might hear a phoenix call, or in the pattering of raindrops, jackaloping paws may fall. In a hall of stones and echoes, around the corners bend, two nimble-footed unicorns meet two brave-hearted friends. So listen very closely as you read of all these things. Is it the whispering of pages, or the sound of griffin wings? And when you leave, you learn the thing that all daydreamers learn. When you leave the realm of magic beasts, they wait for you to return. And that was Daydreamers to start off your day. I hope you guys enjoyed. Our next book is going to be called, well, it is called Boy, by Phil Cummings and Shane DeVries. I thought he was cute, and he has a stick to fight with. So let's see how this goes. Or maybe it's not to fight. Let's find out. Ooh, a castle. This will be fun. Once there was a king who lived high on a hill. His castle looked over the valley to the mountains beyond. He was a powerful man with many brave knights. The mountains were once rich with trees, but a powerful dragon had destroyed much of the forest with his fiery breath. In a small village on the edge of the burned forest lived Boy. Boy couldn't hear, but he was happy. He spoke with dancing hands, and he drew pictures for people in the sand. His parents loved his stories, but the villagers didn't understand. What a strange child, they would say as they walked by. Since the forest had been burned, the king and the dragon had fought many fierce battles. There was roaring and flapping, running around, hiding, dodging, weaving, and a lot of shouting. Boy couldn't hear the battle cries, but he had seen the fear in his mother's eyes and felt it in his father's hands when he held him close. The battles were loud and long, but no one ever won. One day, when the king and the dragon were battling once more, Boy ran right into the middle of it all. Oh no. The knights were stunned. "Move!" they shouted. "Get out of the way, Boy!" ordered the king. "Roar!" bellowed the dragon. But of course, Boy couldn't hear them. Flames flared from the dragon's nostrils. The knights waved their swords frantically as they marched over to Boy. "Why aren't you listening?" shouted the king. Boy was surprised when he looked up and saw them all. He watched them for a moment, then made his hands dance. The knights were flabbergasted. The king was puzzled. The dragon was mystified. Boy could see that they didn't understand him, so he took a sword and wrote it in the sand. Why are you fighting? There was silence until suddenly the king pointed to the dragon. He started it, he cried. He burned our forest. The dragon shook his head. It was an accident, he said. I sneezed a fireball into the trees. I came to say sorry, but your knights chased me away. The knights pointed to the king. He told us to, they cried. The king looked up at the dragon. Well, I thought you were coming to take my castle, he said. Your castle is far too small for me, the dragon replied. All I want is for you to stop chasing me. I don't like being scared. Nor do we, chorused the knights. Boy drew a picture of everyone in the sand. He showed them how their days could be without fighting and fear. There was a lot of chatting and laughing. I promise, the knights won't chase you anymore, said the king to the dragon, and you can visit my castle whenever you like. And I will cover my nose when I sneeze, said the dragon. Boy couldn't hear a word, but he didn't need to. Back in the village, everyone was waiting to see Boy. Thank you, they said, with dancing hands. And that was the story of Boy. And if you don't get why he wasn't hearing, it's because he was deaf. And talking with his hands is known as sign language. Just like English, it's another language. So, yeah. If you have questions, we have plenty of books at the library to help you out. But that was Boy. We're going to take a bit of a different approach with our next book, and we're going to have some fun stories about the outdoors in Minnesota, if you will. This one's called One Dog Canoe, and if you see here on the cover, there is a loon, which is Minnesota's state bird. It is by Mary Casanova and pictures by Ard Hoyt. This is actually signed by one of the authors, and it says, "Keep paddling." So let us begin. I set off one morning in my little red canoe. My dog wagged his tail. Can I come too? You bet, I said. A trip for two. Just me and you. I dipped my paddle into ribbons of blue. Beaver stopped chewing. Can I come too? There's not much room. It's a one-dog canoe. But with a slap and a swim, Beaver scrambled in. I swished past ferns where dragonflies flew. Loon stretched her wings. Can I come too? I doubt you'll fit. It's a one-beaver, one-dog canoe. But with a woohoo flap, Loon landed on my lap. Silently we glided under silver webs of dew. Wolf peered from the pines. Can I come too? Maybe next time. It's a one loon, one beaver, one dog canoe. But like an arrow on the wind, Wolf bounded in. Still I paddled on in my little red canoe. Bear slid down a tree. Can I come too? We're pretty darn full. It's a one wolf, one loon, one beaver, one dog canoe. But with a grunt thump, Bear dropped on his rump. I J-stroked and C-stroked. What else could I do? Moose lifted his head. Can I come too? He'll do us all in. It's a one bear, one wolf, one loon, one beaver, one dog canoe. But with a toss of his rack, Moose climbed in the back. We teetered and tottered. I glared at my crew. Frog hopped on a rock. Can I come too? Frog, can't you see? It's a one moose, one bear, one wolf, one loon, one beaver, one dog canoe. But with a leap, plop, we sputtered, splashed, swam, drip-dried on the sand. Sorry, Beaver said. We should have listened to you. Guess you were right. It is a one-dog canoe. I started to grin. It's okay. We had a good swim. Then together we bailed till my vessel was dry, and with a push, a swish, glide, we waved goodbye. I set off that evening as the northern lights grew, just me and my pal in a one-dog canoe. And that was one-dog canoe. I thought it was very cute. But also, don't go paddling along. Another fun story that we have is also about lakes, should I say. This one is about the Great Lakes, actually, and it says, the day the Great Lakes drained away. And if you don't know, Lake Superior, outside of town, is one of the Great Lakes. Isn't it beautiful? But this story is written and illustrated by Charles Ferguson Barker. So let us dive right in. The Great Lakes were flowing with water on every Great Lakes day, until something frightful happened and made the Great Lakes drain away. Some thought it might have been an earthquake, some say it might have been a big pipe. But whatever was draining the Great Lakes, it just didn't seem quite right. Was there not enough rain this year, or was the sun too hot? Some people think not. When the Great Lakes began to drain, the lake levels dropped only a few inches a year, so no one thought much about it. It seemed there was nothing to fear. People would borrow just a little water from their just a little pipe. They thought it didn't matter. They said, the Great Lakes will be all right. Their one small pipe became thousands, with the Great Lakes water at stake. As water levels continued to drop, the people who noticed the most were people who had boats on the lakes, and those who lived by the coast. Soon the water from the Great Lakes would drain low until it was almost gone. Fear around the Great Lakes was strong. Lake Ontario's water level fell so low. Oh no. You could wade instead of sail from Rochester to Toronto. Oh my. Now on the east side of Lake Ontario's floor, you could walk right up to a big old meteor crater. It was bigger than a Great Lakes freighter. And those are some big boats. It was like something you would see on the moon. Let's hope another one doesn't hit anytime soon. The mighty Niagara Falls had gone from rushing water to just a little trickle. The town's hotels and shops found themselves in quite a big pickle. No one would come. The town even renamed the famous boat they loved, Maid of the Mist, to the Maid of the Mud. Still, no one would come. Lake Erie drained out muddy and flat. You could even walk to Pelee Island from Cleveland and back. The Detroit River drained away and totally stopped. The freighters were stuck in the mud and you could walk up to their big metal props. Now from Detroit to Windsor, no need to use the tunnel or bridge. Just drive across the dried up riverbed along the gravel ridge. Lake St. Clair drained out flat and muddy too, but there were lots of interesting artifacts on the bottom to view. Some were really old, others were quite new. Can we name a few? A sunken yacht, an old birch bark canoe, a mysterious wooden box, and even an old shoe. Up toward the thumb of Michigan, the St. Clair River no longer flowed. Where the pipes from the factories were once underwater, now they really showed. When Lake Huron drained away, the sights to see were incredible. There were huge, tall ridges of rock to climb, right smack dab in the middle. In the deepest part of the drained-away lakes, there were caves the size of houses. Some were even bigger. They were carved out where the limestone rock had dissolved away like sugar. In the drained-out straits of Mackinac, the islands became big humps in the lake's floor. They looked like castles with moats. You could walk to Mackinac Island, but it wasn't nearly as much fun as riding the ferry boats. When Lake Michigan drained away, the muddy bottom dried up as hard as plaster. At least it made the drive between Michigan and Wisconsin much faster. Barrels and barrels appeared all over the lake floor, bright orange and stuck in the sand. They were covered with zebra mussels galore. All of the bays drained away, not a trickle, not a splash. You could see all of the shipwrecks at the famous Manitou Pass. On the bottom of Lake Huron lived a lost forest. It lived during the times of glaciers. How old is it? Can you guess? It's been hiding under Lake Huron for thousands of years, until the Great Lakes drained away and made it appear. Way up north, the St. Mary's River from Lake Superior was a dried up riverbed too. So they decided to turn the Sow Locks into a big swimming pool and named it the Sow. Lake Superior was drained way down to the bottom, over 1,000 feet deep. There were big heavy chunks of copper and gold you could drag out to keep. Almost everyone was shocked when the Great Lakes were all drained away and empty, but there were interesting things on the lake's floors, and trust me, there were plenty. You could find anchors and ship's wheels, lost golden rings, and lots of other once sunken things. With all the water gone, you could fish with ease. Just walk out onto the lake floor and pick up as many as you please. Soon that wasn't as much fun as you might think. With all those stranded fish, it really began to stink. With the water drained away, it was getting quite grim. No water for a boat ride or even a Great Lakes swim. Until the city water supply intakes started sucking, or even then some people didn't care. Until the city water supply intakes started sucking in air. People never thought about where their water had come from. They had always just turned on the faucet, and swoosh, out it would come. Chicago, Duluth, and even Milwaukee, Ontonagon, Marquette, and Sault Ste. Marie, St. Ignace, Traverse City, Alpena, Port Huron, Windsor, and Sarnia, Bay City, Detroit, Cleveland, and Buffalo. Think that's all? Heavens no. There's Rochester, Toronto, and Evanston, and the list goes on and on. Sheboygan, Manitowoc, I'm sure we've missed a few, like the hundreds of smaller Great Lakes towns too. So now everyone missed the water and all of the fun things to do. There was no vacationing on the Great Lakes, because that all dried up too. Now all the people who borrowed just a little water from their just a little pipe soon realized the Great Lakes were not alright. So the people stopped taking water from the lakes and their just a little pipe. Day by day the lakes filled back up, making them once again a beautiful sight. Now the Great Lakes are flowing with water once again, so deep and fresh and blue. We must treat them as a treasure, as our gift our whole lives through. So in the end, what drained the Great Lakes away wasn't an earthquake, it wasn't a big pipe, it wasn't one single lone villain. It was everyone's just one small pipe, times a million. And that is the story of the day the Great Lakes drained away. So remember, your one action may seem small, but if 10 people's small actions, they come together to create a big action. So think about that next time you do something. And that is going to be all for us today. I hope you guys enjoyed the story time, and you'll join me again Wednesdays, Fridays, because I do this Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Yeah, make sure to come in, sign up for the summer reading program. We have fun activities every week, and you can get book money, I believe, if you read enough. So keep reading, keep listening, and make sure to stop by. Thank you so much for listening. Bye-bye.